Okay, reading from the Antya-khaṇḍa of the Caitanya-bhāgavata, chapter 4, text 199. Jaya Jaya Sri Caitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Ācāryere namaskarilena bhakta-gaṇa ācārya sabāre kailā prema-āliṅgana. All the devotees offered obeisances to Advaita Ācārya, who in turn affectionately embraced them all. Om Jnana-timirandasya Kananjana Shalakaya Chaksur Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Mano Bhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadadi Sa Padantikam Vanchakalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Bhayevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah. Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasade Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So greetings from Govardhan. As I say, right now, in this direction, I think only about 100 meters is Giriraj. And somehow or other, sometimes they give the phrase, I don't know, some of you may not know this in English, but it went stark raving mad. It means completely lost control. So I think here in India, the government went stark raving sane because they've started to be. When I came into Vrindavan, it was spotlessly clean. You saw that too, Mukunda? Well, when I drove in at night, he's not agreeing with me. But they keep the cars off of Govardhan, and around the hill is really clean, and it's so green. Right, so there's some good organization here. I haven't heard too many loudspeakers yet, although today is Diwali. What? What's that mean?
It's like Adiwas. Tomorrow is real Diwali. Yes.
Okay. Oh, tomorrow is the real Diwali. Okay. And what I've been doing is I've been reading Krishna book and commenting. And so we started the Govardhan Leela. And we came up with a real interesting point, what that Leela is really about, and what Krishna consciousness is really about. That the goal is happiness, and happiness is love. I quoted from Aristotle. I quoted this before. Aristotle said that the goal is happiness. It's not a means for anything else. And if someone challenges you and says, no, this is the goal, then the answer is, no, that's the means for happiness. And happiness is love. And the highest love is love of Godhead. So all rituals are meant to bring you to that point. And I guess there's an English phrase, you didn't see the forest through the trees or something like that. Somehow or other people miss it. And we see that also. It's called niyama-agraha. It means you have too much affection for the rules. Of course, the niyama-agraha also means niyama-agraha, too little affection for the rules. But either one is one of the impediments to bhakti. So we see that sometimes, that the goal becomes the rule. If I go to Mangal Arati, the benefit is when I check the attendance, not the consciousness when I'm there. That's more or less Vaidhi Bhakti, the faith tends to be in that, which is also a good faith because there's power in following. But the power isn't the rule. In Bhakti, the power is the absorption in Krishna. So niyama-agra, too much affection for the rules. And that's what Krishna saw in the Govardhan Leela, that these Brahmins, because the rules are important, just like Aristotle, Confucius defines rituals as those things which conform oneself to something higher than oneself. So there is a purpose and intention in rituals. But when you lose the intention, and it just, what becomes important is the ritual, then you can lose the purpose of it very easily also. And that's also what happens with institutions. The purpose of the institution is not the institution. The purpose of the institution is the goal of the, it's a service. It is Joseph O'Connell, who's a religious scholar, probably the best religious scholar on Bengali Vaishnavism. He's quite a brilliant guy. He passed away and he met Prabhupada. He said, what culture is that which brings, he said, culture is that which brings what is right, proper, and of value into the future. That's the purpose of culture. It's to carry that which has value. I forgot, he gave 3 adjectives: value, right. It brings it into the future. So institutions are very important. Otherwise, how do you, and he said there's hard institutions and there's soft institutions. The hard institution is the governments, the spiritual governments, and the buildings that they have, and the rules. And the soft institution is the teachers and the books. So traditionally, Krishna consciousness was carried by a soft institution. They're both important. But what's important is what they do, not what they are. So you can see how very easily, the institution can be, because it's important. ISKCON, Prabhupada wanted it, right? So it does become a service to people, and it's very important, and it has carried and preserved and everything. But it's too easy to make that mistake. And that's exactly what the Brahmins, they made that mistake. The culture became the goal, not what it was supposed to give. And the classic example is, well, Yagyavai Vishnu, it's for Vishnu, and Vedaischa Sarvaham Eva Vedyo, Vedanta Vid, Veda Vid. Of all the Vedas, I am to be known. And then the cowherd boys came and said, Bajram Te, this is auspicious because we're giving you service for Krishna. Isn't that what it's all about? And they did not even say Om, which is kind of an Indian way to say yes and to belch. Om. When Indians belch, they say Om. Very advanced. But they didn't even say Om. They didn't even recognize him. So, the whole story is, of course, this is what Krishna saw. And then his family, he came back, his family was doing the same thing. So we're talking about the different objectives of that Leela. And one of the objectives is to show that the purpose is bhakti. And that's the only way you can achieve perfection. And that's the goal. And he wanted to establish that. That's the Govardhan Leela. Anyway, just wanted to share that with you. So that's what we were discussing. And we're just going to come up to the point, I guess, tomorrow. And then on Govardhan Puja, where Krishna says, no. Okay, we'll make another yajna for Govardhan Hill. No. Can't wait. It's like Prabhupada said to, Bhaktisiddhanta said to Prabhupada, he said, Prabhupada said, who will listen to us because we're not free? And Bhaktisiddhanta said, Krishna consciousness can't wait for ecclesiastical change or a government change. And that's also our message in the modern world. It can't change. It can't wait. It can't wait. It has to move on. It can't wait for anything institutional or external, which are important. But ultimately, it can't wait because that's so important. So this is Krishna's message to say, no, can't wait. We got to do it now. We got to do it now. And that's bhakti. Can't surrender in the past. You can't surrender in the future. You have to surrender now. It's such a heavy lesson. Trust no future, however pleasant, is an English expression. No, I'll do tomorrow. Mañana. Tomorrow. Okay, so now we're getting where we're seeing this love. What is the Chaitanya Charitamrita? What is the Caitanya-bhāgavata? Chaitanya Charitamrita, Prabhupada breaks up the word. It's the character of the life force in eternality. So what's the character of the life force in eternality? It's taking refuge of Krishna and developing a loving relationship with him. And that's what this Caitanya-bhāgavata is. That's why it's Rasa Shastra. It's not just explaining who God is. It's not just explaining the process to get him. It's showing you the result of doing so. It really is prayojana. It really is prayojana tattva. It really is the goal. It really is showing you the goal. And I like being out in Govardhan. You see it a little bit more than in Jackson, New Jersey. You see it a little bit more with the sadhus. Today, it's just how it is. Somebody wants to introduce to me this one Goswami who's living out in Govardhan. He's from the Radharaman Goswami. He's only 21, right? And he's like a great kirtan singer. So when I have a festival, he's going to come. And Lakshmi Moni, you'll appreciate this. And then I'm talking to him and he says, yeah, he lives out here. He's only 21 years old and he lives out here with his wife. And somehow now his wife is a Western lady who's 22. So I said, your parents approve? He said, yeah, somehow my parents are more liberal. They approve. It's okay. And anyway, my wife is the granddaughter of a Prabhupada disciple. The girl's grandmother, Lakshmi Moni, understand, is Jagadatri. It's Raghunath's daughter lives out in Govardhan, married to a Radharaman Goswami. So, I mean, I just said, you're blowing my mind. This was a student of mine, his daughter. And I'm just saying how the world works is just beyond belief. But anyway, we see this, we go into Advaita Ācārya's house and we see like his young child is already realized. And he's the son of Advaita Ācārya, and somehow or other, he has so much respect for Lord Chaitanya that he's upset with his father, because his father, when asked who is the sannyas guru of Lord Chaitanya, he says Keshava Bharti. And he thought this is minimizing Lord Chaitanya's position, because he's God. He's not under anyone. and there was a little history around Advaita Ācārya's house, that there were some members of his family, even 3 of his sons, who were trying to minimize Lord Chaitanya because their father was Advaita Ācārya. His father was senior. So somehow or other, this little boy and Advaita Ācārya, just was amazed by his son, how attractive it was. A little child, if he's a little precocious, if he could speak some philosophy, then it's not that invokes Aishvarya, it invokes your son. My son is so cute that's part of the Govardhan Leela. It's not just Krishna speaking philosophy, but yeah, Krishna is speaking philosophy, but it's Krishna. And how cute it is for a young boy to start talking karma, mamamsa, and different philosophies. I think there were 6 philosophies that Krishna spoke. And it was so cute because Krishna was speaking karma, mamamsa philosophy, a materialistic philosophy. Yeah, imagine if a little 5-year-old child started to speak Sariraka Bhasha by Mayavad philosophy. Oh, how cute, right? But if they were over 16, we'd kill them. We couldn't, especially if they're in Russia. Oh, they got in your case, you put your shoes in the wrong place, but imagine that. So, and then Lord Chaitanya came in, and it's not just, it's love, and love is spontaneous. It's what we all want. We don't want to we serve Krishna because it's obligation and duty. We have to follow our rules. I mean, we do. There's a jata ruchi raganuga bhakti before you have spontaneous devotion, but still you understand that the goal is Krishna. The goal is, so you can kind of regulate your life, because if you don't regulate your life, then what are you going to do? If you don't have spontaneous devotion, if you don't regulate your life, then all your material attachments will come, right? Okay, I won't attend Mangal Arti today. I'll go up and chant my rounds. And then you'll open up the computer. You won't be able to rate fixed unless it's, so there's a jata ruchi. You don't really have that bhav, but you have that objective. But this is a natural attraction. It's prema. It's like iron and a magnet. There's an attraction between an iron and a magnet. And it's just an energy, a mother and a child. There's no intellectual, analysis. The love is just natural. And this is powerful. So everyone's ecstatic. Advaita sees Lord Chaitanya and he's hugging him and he's crying him, and there's ecstatic symptoms. And everybody else appreciates that because people are not envious. So their happiness becomes the happiness of another. So it's like that. And so Advaita, it took him time to calm down, and now he offers him a sitting place. The associates are around, and then Nityananda sees Advaita and what a relationship it is there. So they're also having that. And then all the devotees that are surrounding Lord Chaitanya offer obeisances to Advaita, and he affectionately embraces them. So this is also the culture that I heard this in a class of His Holiness Bhakti True Maharaj when he gave the original Vaishnava etiquette class. He gave the original Vaishnava etiquette class in the Vrindavan Institute of Higher Education. And he said that respect goes upwards and affection goes down. Affection in Sanskrit is anugraha. It's also mercy. It's also the flavor of love in Vatsalya Ras that parents have to their children. So it's this affection. And cultured people, they know how to relate in a proper way. They know how to be very respectful when it comes to senior people. They don't analyze them. Is he really advanced? You know, if someone has it's a parent, it's an elder. They're cultured in this way because it opens up the channel. There's an English expression. When you give something to somebody who can't appreciate or take advantage of it, the English expression is like throwing pearls to a swine or a pig. They don't have the facility to use it. So the same thing with a teacher. If a teacher sees that a student is not faithful, they're not going to give them instructions. They're not going to give them knowledge. It's like throwing pearls to a swine. Because the person will only become offensive. The person will only lose faith. The whole Bhagavatam is spoken to Sutta Goswami because he's a gentle and submissive disciple. And therefore, he's able to digest the absolute truth that doesn't conform to one's self-conception of oneself. It doesn't necessarily conform to the desires one has. Someone is eager for the truth. They're willing to change themselves. And it all begins with that level of faith. And we know that Prabhupada credits his success to that faith. Because otherwise, others may have taken that journey to the West. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta wanted it, but it had to be done on faith. Otherwise, look what happened to the person who came before Prabhupada. You told me that, Mukunda, right? When the Prabhupada's godbrother who came before, you were telling me that about. Then Ban Maharaj came before, and then he came back. Someone was telling me they were reading his biography. And then he came back and he told Srila Bhaktisiddhanta that we have a lot to learn from these people. And Bhaktisiddhanta was very angry with him. He somehow, we have a lot to learn from them. Somehow he became enamored or something like that. Someone, I forgot who was telling me, was reading something like this. But Prabhupada, he had faith. But, but if he didn't have faith, he'd say, go to the West, speak to these people. How are they going to understand this message? Right? How is it going to work to go there? I always describe, Prabhupada gets off the boat with the latest fashion, plastic white shoes from Lowy Bazaar. That's what he had, and what, $40 and what did he, and then he's facing the material civilization, facing him. The whole America is facing him. He's never seen anything like that. And then what does he say? How is it possible for me to do this? It's only by your mercy. And make me dance, make me dance. And then he quotes the Bhagavatam. This was his faith, the Bhagavatam. But it was faith. It wasn't his analysis. Because by a material analysis, it was impossible to do what Prabhupada did. And probably others wouldn't have taken up that mission. Because how is it possible? So devotees were respectful to Advaita, and then he was affectionate to them. Even the story when Rupa Goswami first came to the assembly, how he was so respectful to everyone, and Srila Damodar and Lord Chaitanya asked everybody to bless him because he was so humble, he was so respectful. He didn't walk in like he was entitled. I'm Sri Rupa, you want to hear my poetry? I'll blow your mind. He didn't even want to recite it. He was so cultured. Ye Ananda Upajila Advaitara Gari Veda Vyas Vina Tahi Varnite Kepari. No one other than Veda Vyas is able to describe the ecstasy that manifests in Advaita's house. Bhaktivinoda Thakur talks about this. There's a spiritual realm, and the spiritual realm, it's beyond the time, space, cause and effect frame of reason. That when we talk about reason, it's how things work under time, space, cause and effect. It's beyond that, it's God. So it's very hard to describe that because we only have the language of this world. So Veda Vyas also what's he going to describe? Sometimes you can't describe something to someone unless they have a preliminary experience of it. It's like if you try to explain to like a 3-year-old girl romance, they just don't have the frame of reference. There's no way to grasp it. So in the same sense, there's no, what frame of reference do the people have? Sex life and I won an election, it's ego as joy. They don't have any other frame of reference. That's why when we come to Krishna consciousness, sometimes Krishna gives us namabhas, a drop of the nectar of the holy name, so that we can have some faith. So we know that there's something there that's so much more, and we should try for it. Otherwise, our faith will remain within the material world. And even in the name of Krishna consciousness, those are the same two things that we'll aspire for. Some prestige or some sensual, subtle, or whatever, profit, adoration, distinction, or that'll be our goal. Shaneke Achyutananda Advaita Kumar Prabhu Chadane Ase Harla Namaskar. Shortly thereafter, Advaita's son Achyutananda came and offered obeisances at the Lord's lotus feet. He offered obeisance at the Lord's lotus feet. So we had a little preview of this young boy who was so advanced, and now we're going to see his relationship with Lord Chaitanya. Achyutera Koli Kari Shri Gora Sunda Prema Jali Duilena Tanra Kalavera. Shri Gora Sunda embraced Achyuta and soaked his body with tears of love. So Lord Chaitanya realized how advanced this young boy was. Because what to speak of coming from the spiritual world, but just by the law of karma, people can start at a very, very high level of Krishna consciousness. It's not just, I'm a devotee for 40 years, like, therefore I'm more advanced. You may be a devotee for 40 years and have just come in this lifetime. And someone may join today that's,
For 40 lifetimes.
for 40 lifetimes has been in Krishna consciousness, and he had to work out his little thing. And sometimes we see that, and it's so amazing that someone will come and immediately they'll be so advanced. So Lord Chaitanya recognized this. He really recognized this. The Lord would not release Achyuta from his chest, and Achyuta appeared to merge into the Lord's body. In other words, there's a relationship here. This is not, and this is part of the Caitanya-bhāgavata and Caitanya-charitamrita is describing the tree of Lord Chaitanya. So Achyutananda is a very important person, and we're getting to see it. Immediately, we saw it. There's a reason why it's being described as this important person. We saw how even as a young child, he had this enlightenment, and Lord Chaitanya recognized it. And immediately, he embraced it. Embraced him. And you see this sometimes with children. Sometimes I've seen that someone may grow up in the movement, and someone may grow up in an ordinary family, and then all of a sudden, at a young age, they may just be so devotional. So it's different ways on seeing Lord's mercy on Achyuta, all the devotees began to cry with love. So crying can be from happiness, and the greatest happiness is love. And they love Lord Chaitanya, and they love Achyutananda, Advaita Ācārya's son, and they're seeing this incredible mercy. And when you love someone, this is a principle in Krishna consciousness, actually, but we see it reflected in the material world. When you love someone, you get more pleasure from their happiness than your own. So if someone has a small child and they're getting a cookie from the guru, it's better than them getting a cookie from the guru. And we know with some of the pure younger associates of Sri Radha, that when they see Sri Radha with Krishna, they love her so much that they actually physically experience everything she does, but on a very pure, flat platform of love. And there is sensual experience in the spiritual world, but it's love. And I think the frame of reference I can give for the material world is if you cook for someone and you love that person, and then after you eat, you don't eat in the consciousness of selfishness. You eat in the consciousness of love because you taste those preparations and just think how much that person was enjoying. How much that person was enjoying. Which is ultimately the way we should take Mahaprasad. We can only advance by Prabhupada's mercy, that's it. But, real Vaishnava is just tasting prasad. It's how their Lord was enjoying. When I describe these things, I just realize we're all just Prabhupada's mercy. Giriraj Swami, I was once with Giriraj Swami just before he was being kicked out of India. Because he used to preach in Pakistan, and Pakistan and India were not. So they gave him a quick India notice, and he had to leave. So before he left, he came to Vrindavan. And I remember we went to the Goshala and we had a feast at Nandanandan, this wonderful Bengali devotee at the Goshala, and his wife, I forgot his wife's name, and incredible prasad. And then Giriraj Swami just started telling me stories of Prabhupada. He said, Prabhupada said, third-class man eats a lot of prasadam and goes to sleep. A second-class man just takes a little prasadam. But a first-class man takes a lot of prasadam and then serves Krishna. And then he told me this other story when there was a court case in New York. There was a court case, and Giriraj Swami had to go around to dignitaries in India and get testimony that Krishna consciousness was authorized. So he went to this one famous, I think it was Chinmayananda or some famous Indian guru. So he signed, this document that Giriraj Swami was telling me. He signed this document that Krishna consciousness was authorized. And then Chinmayananda said and Giriraj was with this other industrialist, took him there, who knew Chinmayananda, called Rahul Bajaj from the motorcycles. In India, Bajaj. It's not like the Harley of India, but it's something, Bajaj. So Chinmayananda said to Giriraj after he signed it, he said, I'm more learned than your guru. And Rahul Bajaj said to Chinmayananda, but you're not more humble. And then Giriraj Swami started to tell me story after story. And I said, Giriraj Swami, how did you get such mercy? How did you get such mercy? How did you get such mercy? And he said, I'm just a mercy case. So that's how you get mercy. By your humility. So the devotees, they saw this love and they were just so happy. They were just so happy. Yata Caitanya priya parisharagan achutera priya nahi hena nahi jan. There was not a single beloved associate of Lord Chaitanya who did not have affection for Achyuta. Just certain personalities, they just and one thing I would say, well, that Giriraj Swami is like that with elders. I saw that senior people just always loved him. Prabhupada loved him, his parents loved him, older Indian disciples loved him. Different people have different karma. And there's somebody with a karma and a nature that is so attractive. And he's so spiritual, he's so beautiful, he's so devotional. Everyone loved this Achyuta. Nityananda Surupera, Pranera Saman, Gadadhar Pandit Shishera Pradhan. Nityananda considered him as equal to his own life, and he was the principal disciple of Gadadhar Pandit. So Gadadhar Pandit was Sri Radha in Gaur Leela and was in the Totanath Gopinath temple. And Gadadhar Pandit, what did he do? He taught Bhagavatam to Lord Chaitanya every day, which is a very interesting phenomenon because Gadadhar Pandit was Radha, but couldn't be in the mood of Radha. Because generally the associates of Krishna that take birth in Gaur Leela, you can identify them because they have the same mood. Like Jagadananda was very heavy, it was Satyabhama. They kind of have the same mood, but he didn't have that mood because he was a servant of Krishna, and Krishna wanted to be in the mood of Radha. So if he assumed the mood of Radha, it'd be very difficult for Krishna to assume that he'd have to keep in the mood of Krishna. So this is the significant point. How did he serve Krishna to give Krishna? Because how did Radha in Gaur Lila served Krishna to give Krishna the mood of Radha by the Bhagavatam. By the Bhagavatam. So that's how you get the mood of Radha. And it wasn't just the 10th canto. He studied the story of Dhruva, so you can learn that if you want to get the mood of Radha, you have to be very, very determined. He studied he liked to teach him the story of Prahlad. So if you want the mood of Radha, you have to have unbroken devotional service. In other words, you have to take the devotional service in such a way that it can't be broken. And how do you break something? There's two ways. You give something better than it, or you cause more pain to that person to give it up. But the pain of giving it up in other words, there's nothing better than it, and there's nothing more painful than giving it up. That's unbroken devotional service. And that was Prahlad. His father couldn't break it. So Lord Chaitanya, who's the Ācārya, trying to teach us he understood that these qualities were also important. Lord Chaitanya wanted to hear it. How can I get more determined? How can I become more fixed? So Radha taught, and he was one of the main lines is the Gadadhar Parivar. There's an Advaita Parivar, there's a Nityananda Parivar. Parivar means your lineage. And then there's a Gadadhar Parivar. Therefore, Achyuta is called the qualified son of Advaita. They were an exemplary combination of father and son. An exemplary combination. A great father and a great son. Emata si Advaita Gostira Sahate Anande Dubhila Prabhu Paye Sakshite. In this way, Sri Advaita and his family merge in ecstasy as they receive the Lord in their home. By the desire of Advaita, Lord Chaitanya stayed and enjoyed kirtan pastimes for a few days in Advaita's house. So this is what they did. They did kirtan. They did kirtan. Having received the Lord of his life in his house, Acharya Gosai was in such ecstasy that did not know where he was. So that's advanced Krishna consciousness. You're so absorbed.
It started higher, and I agree with him. I mean, there was enough.
Wait.
The signal is still there, you know. You put more air down.
Wait. Tota Gopinath, you're not muted, or someone's not muted here. I don't know who that was. Okay. Someone. Okay. I don't know what that was. He did not know where he was. Completely absorbed in kirtan. After becoming somewhat pacified, the most magnanimous Advaita quickly sent some persons to Mother Sachi. Mahamati, Kichu Stirohoya Advaita Mahamati. Mati means mind. He was a great mind. The great mind is magnanimous. The great mind thinks of others before themselves. So they quickly went to Navadvipa, the palanquin, and delivered the message that Mother Sachi should come. Mother Sachi was drowned in an ocean of ecstatic love. She had no external consciousness, so she did not know what she said or what she heard. So she went into mood of separation when Lord Chaitanya left. And that was Krishna's message to the gopis. I'm there in my bhava manifestation. We're not separated from God by a physical distance. We're separated by consciousness. And that realm is not a physical distance. So there may be in the prakat lila, the external lila, separation, but internally there's no separation. They enter into the lila anyway. So she was completely in this mood of separation, and she couldn't hear anything. She asked whoever she saw before her, tell me something about Mathura. How are Krishna and Balaram doing in Mathura? What is that sinful Kamsa doing now? So of course she's Mother Yashoda in Gaur Lila, in Krishna Lila. Tell me what you know about that thief Akura who stole away my Krishna and Balaram. I heard that the sinful Kamsa is dead. Has Ugrasena become the king of Mathura? You know, it's an interesting type. It's not a mental illness, but anyway, I saw this with my mother during COVID because she was already 100 and all of a sudden she couldn't see anybody because of COVID. And then somehow or other, her hearing aid broke and she really couldn't hear. So you couldn't really call her. And somehow or other, when I finally got to her, I saw her in her mind. She had done so many things, but according to her desires. She always would tell me about, they call them affairs. It doesn't mean she's went into weddings and different things. And she was telling me about all these things she went to and she was going. So at that time, she went internal. But when Mother Sachi goes internal, because it's not a physical thing, it's a spiritual thing, she's actually there. And sometimes there's half consciousness where she's there or not there, or coming out or going in. So she's just talking like she was in that way. Sometimes Mother Sachi would call out, Rama, Krishna, come quickly and milk the cows. I must sell the milk. Sometimes Mother Sachi would run with a stick in her hand saying, catch him, catch him. There goes that butter thief. Where will you flee? I'll bind you today. Speaking in this way, she ran around absorbed in ecstasy. Sometimes when she saw someone nearby, she would say, let us go bathe in the Jamuna. Sometimes she would cry so loudly that the heart of anyone who heard would melt. So these are very spiritual people, so they're empathetic. And they feel the other person's pain, they feel another person's happiness, and she's crying in separation. Tears constantly flowed from her eyes. The sound of her pathetic crying melted even stone and wood. It was so heartfelt. So it gave that kind of image. Sometimes in meditation, she would see Krishna and forget herself and laugh loudly. Her wonderful and blissful laughter would sometimes continue for 6 hours. Sometimes Mother Sachi would lose consciousness in ecstasy and would show no signs of life for up to 3 hours. Sometimes she would tremble in such a way it appeared as if someone had picked her up and thrown her to the ground. Sachi's ecstatic love for Krishna had no comparison. She alone exhibited such boundless love. Gaur-Sunda endowed Mother Sachi with the same potency of devotional service to Krishna that is found in him. Therefore, who has the power to describe the transformation of Mother Sachi's ecstatic love? In this way, Mother Sachi floated day and night in the waves of the ocean of ecstatic love. Okay, we'll end here. Yeah, I'm still kind of, in the next few days, I'm going to kind of finalize and, a little retreat, not advertised too widely, but I can see it could be really nice here. And there's quite a nice guest house, quite nice, just maybe 5 minutes away, practically facing Govardhan Hill. Mukunda Maharaj is here. He would organize tours here. And I used to go there and give classes downstairs. Anyway, I'm pretty excited. We could organize it very easily here. And 25-minute ride to Barsana. 40 minutes to Nandagaon. In fact, Vikram, who's staying with me, he just went out to Vrindavan. And Sachinandana Swami was there. He was there chanting. He's now in, he was there chanting today. And invited me to a kirtan in Varsana next Ekadasi, which is completely against my nature because it starts at 9 o'clock and ends at 11. And I'm into Vaidhi Bhakti. I go to bed at the same time. I wake at the same time. This would completely throw off my schedule. What the hell, I'm going to do it. I'll be in Raganuga Bhakti for a day. No, what I'll do, it's Ekadasi. I'll just stay up all night. When I get back here, I'll just take a shower and sit up and chant. That's all. Yeah. Okay. Jamunajaya, you start us off with a point that you appreciated.
Thank you. First, I want to say it's so happy to see you so happy. It's clearly you're so happy to be in the Dham. Hello, everybody. I really was loving the point of that Radha's girlfriends were feeling what she was feeling, and that there was no envy between them. I've always loved that point that there is no envy among the gopis. There's no envy among the lovers of Krishna and all the lovers of Lord Chaitanya. And in this world, there is so much envy. So I was really, really appreciating that point today. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, Jamunajaya. Okay. Anybody else like to say hello or share anything that you appreciated, or just say hello?
Just saying hello. Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Okay,
and that was me who was unmuted before by accident. Not Tota. Hare Krishna.
That was you, Gail? You were the?
Yeah, I was the culprit.
You better apologize to Tota. I just look who doesn't have a mic that's open, right? But maybe he just doesn't keep the mic, so I always blame him. But you were the rascal.
Yes, sorry, Tota. You got the
talking
blame from
Joseph? Is that was the sound?
No, he was talking to me.
Okay, give my regards to Joseph.
Okay.
All right, Gail. Is that your realization for today? Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Anybody else?
Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj, Tota Gopinath here.
Okay, you got the sauce and it wasn't your fault, but we caught the
I'll take the mercy. That's the greatest mercy, the sauce.
Anybody else say hello?
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, Lal Govinda.
Hey, Lal.
Hare Lal.
Wow. You're into your Kartik mood, huh?
Yes.
I can see it, huh? Okay.
Very well.
Babaji hairdresser. Okay. Okay, who else? Anybody else say hello?
Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj, Kadamba Mala.
Hi, Bo, Kadamba. Hi. Hey, well, this is something, but this Vikram helps me, and every day Amazon delivers a different package here.
3 times a day, actually.
3 times a day. It must be my karma wherever I am.
Just like being in New Jersey, Guru Maharaj.
But this is more painful because it's my money. I don't know. Anyway, my scale arrived today, and then what the tahini sauce, and then what? Quinoa. It's different things. Different things arrive.
And it will be more and more and more.
Yeah, I'm cutting off the budget now because just ride up on a motorcycle the same. You get anything you want here. Okay. Anybody else? Say hello.
Maharaj, Haribo, it's Abby from Portland.
Hey, Abby.
We just missed you. I was up in your hood, New Platts. Just missed you.
Where were you? By Raghunath?
Yeah, I went to go visit just for a long weekend, thinking I'd come say hi, but we just missed one another.
He needed some friend. That's good.
Anyways, we'll come out there to Vrindavan hopefully soon. But great.
No, Abby, you got to come out to my place.
That one
Okay.
too.
Okay. Anybody else?
Hare Krishna Maharaj. Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Haribo.
Thanks for the class.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
You got some Hare Krishna mantra in Govardhan Hill. Okay.
Hare Krishna.
Haribo. Surya Radhika. She's a disciple of mine. Her mother will take initiation too. Okay. Anybody
We
else?
hope we can come to Govardhan Maharaj.
I guess it
But
depends
they
on the.
said the visas are not yet open. They don't issue yet.
Well, they're supposed to issue, but I don't know if they issue for every country yet. Yeah, I don't know if Iran still has a high, but I think by that time it'll be okay. Anyway, whenever you come, we'll have a festival. Whenever
With
you
your
come.
blessing, Maharaj.
Okay. Anybody else say hello?
Thank you.
Anybody else want to say hello? Okay, we will end now.